Hi, gang. We are going to talk about how to get your files off your SD card onto your computer, and more importantly, some best practices in terms of getting those files organized. So, you will see here that I have inserted my SD card into an SD card reader. You may have a slot on your computer that will let you just slide it in, and if so, that's great. Most of you will probably have to buy an SD card reader, which runs about $10 or $15. Um, so, because I like to be really organized, you'll see that when I plugged it into my SD card reader, it shows up as a drive. I have named this because I like my cards named. And then if I double click on it, it's going to show me the files that are in this folder. Because I have used this card in the Tascam audio recorder, in a Sony video camera, and in a Canon DSLR, I have a variety of folders on here. So in this case, the Tascam records all our files into a folder called music. When we get to video, you'll see that the Sony video cameras that we use create a folder called private, and I will move that entire folder onto my computer when the time comes. And then the cameras that we use in photojournalism create these two files, which we won't talk about here, but all my photo files would be inside this folder as well. So if I go to look at this, I will see that I have 3 WAV files. I set up my recorder to record WAV files. This first one, I know it's very short, and I know that is the quick test that I did, so I don't care about that. But I do care. These others 2 are my interview. This longer one is my interview, and this second one is my natural sound. So I need to move those onto my computer. So rather than just dumping them onto my desktop, which you should never do, never work from your desktop. You always want to have the file saved deeper into your computer. The reason for that is your desktop is essentially active memory, and the more things you have on the desktop, the slower your computer will run. So if you have a computer that's really struggling anyway, move everything you can off your desktop into your file structure, into documents, or somewhere that is not your desktop. Okay, so I'm going to do a new window just to make my life easier. I'm going to go to Documents. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to be extra organized, and I'm going to create one called 3102 Assignments, and that would mean I would put all my assignments in this folder. It popped its way up to the top. So now I'm going to go in, and I'm actually going to create another folder called Audio Assignment 1. Then I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to create another folder, and I'm going to call this Original Audio Files. Now, the reason I'm going to create this extra folder is I am going to take my audio files and move them in there, and then I'm going to leave them there and not touch them. So I'm going to take my 2 files that I know that I want, and I'm going to drag them into my Original Audio Files folder. I'm going to leave those alone. I'm actually going to drag them again into my main folder, and I'm going to use these 2 to edit. The reason I'm going to do that is because it is possible when you're editing to edit the files and then save those back to the original file and accidentally delete something you needed, or to overprocess something. Weird things can happen. So I always want to have sort of a backup of those audio files. And the same thing is true for photo editing, because both of them can use a method called destructive photo editing, where it doesn't retain the original file but saves those changes back to the files. I want to make sure there's always a copy that if I really mess up somehow, I will still have a good version. So here they are. I will use this folder to save my editing files as well. So when I create a new project, I will save those project files in here. If I was going to do a bigger project, say I was going to do an audio slideshow and have photos, I would create another folder called Photos. If I was doing a big video project that I had a bunch of graphics, I might create a new graphics folder. So the bigger the project, the more sort of files you'll need, more folders you'll need to sort of keep organized and make your life easier in the long run. Taking those few seconds to build a structure can be a huge benefit in the long run. So I've got these files here. They're all safe and tucked away in folders. So I'm going to eject my SD card. And the reason I'm going to do this is to make sure I never accidentally edit from the SD card. You never, ever, ever want to use your SD card as an editing drive. Bad things can happen if you do. Trust me when I say don't ever do that. And the safest thing to do is just go ahead and eject your card and know that you can't be working on it. So it's all good. All right, so that is how you get your files off onto your computer and get organized to do the edit.